Morning, everybody. UFC 265, baby. Let's go. Mike's MMA picks here with your Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown show brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We have Cyril Gane versus Derek the Black Beast Lewis. 13 fights. 7 of these fights are expected to end inside the distance. Let's get things kicked off where we have first fight of the evening, Johnny Munoz Jr. taking on Jamie Simmons. Now, both of these fighters have fought at 145 pounds. This fight takes place at each of their natural weight classes. We have Johnny Munoz coming in with a 10-1 record. We saw last time out versus Nate Menace what Munoz is capable of, yet the groin shots came back to haunt him. Munoz in this spot is the more well put together fighter with a legitimate Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. In my eyes, the much better fighter here. 9,100 minus 315 at the betting window. Jamie Simmons, wrestler, looking to close distance, land that overhand right. We haven't seen much of a wrestling game at the UFC level since he's been blown out of the water by Giga Chikadze. 7,100 for Simmons. Now, let's cut to the chase. I don't see this fight going the distance. Simmons is going to have to throw caution to the wind here and try to get Munoz out of there. Munoz hasn't shown a devastating striking game, but he hasn't needed to do that since his grappling is so strong. I could see Simmons coming out here and trying to pour it on and take Munoz out of there via strikes, though the more likely outcome is that Munoz Simmons rather walks right into the fire, gets taken down by Munoz, who does have the back-taking ability, and also once he's able to transition and gain top control, can take Simmons out of there. And that's what I see happening here. I see the most likely outcome being Johnny Munoz ending this fight via submission. So give me Johnny Munoz for the victory. Next up, we have Victoria Leonardo taking on Melissa Gatto. Melissa Gatto hasn't fought in a few years. Tough to trust that tape on the regional scene where she ended up beating Carol Rosa, I believe, by armbar. I watched that fight, and granted, it was a few years ago, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. She got taken down, Gatto, and ended up locking up a submission. Now, you watch the other footage. She looks in great shape. She looked good on the scale, Gatto. Other than that, you don't have much to work with. And that is dangerous here when you're looking to play 8,800 on Gatto and DraftKings. That's a little dangerous here. Minus 120 betting favorite over at BetDSI. You have on the other side of the fight, Victoria Leonardo, who's been the more active fighter. She came in and won a victory as an underdog versus Chelsea Hackett. Got blown out of the water by Firo. That was a sight to see. 7,400 minus 110. So you're getting some value in DraftKings here for Leonardo. She is the more active fighter. She's going to be very aggressive here. And I think that in this spot, it makes some sense to pick her because you look at what she's capable of and you have a more defined representative of her skill set. Whereas Gatto, who knows what the hell's been going on? She had a USADA suspension. And there are a number of question marks there. And what I've seen on the tape doesn't lend it to it doesn't give me the idea that she's going to come in here and have a dominant performance. Gatto at low level MMA, especially women's MMA, it doesn't take much to sway not only the fight itself but the judges. This one isn't expected to hit the scorecards at -140. I'll be picking Leonardo in this spot, though, with not much conviction. Next up, at 135 pounds, third fight of the night, we have Miles Johns taking on Anderson Dos Santos. Anderson Dos Santos coming in at a 7,300 DraftKings price and a plus 170 underdog in this spot. Anderson Dos Santos has a lot of qualities that you like to see in an underdog that you would be interested in rostering via DraftKings. He's extremely aggressive. He has a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He will go out on his shield. Miles Johns, wrestling background, 8,900 in DraftKings, -210 at the betting window. So he is coming in here as a sizable favorite. Fortis MMA fighter. You know, when Miles Johns fights, sometimes, especially, I think it was against Cole Williams, where he was put against the fence and you hear that turn and burn, Miles, turn and burn. Same with Macy Chiasson, turn and burn. They get stuck against the cage. And in this spot, Miles Johns is going to need to, he's going to need to use that jab. Be smart here because Anderson Dos Santos could put him in some trouble in this fight. Dos Santos is extremely aggressive. Now, Miles Johns coming in with an 11-1 record. I have some questions about Miles Johns. You know, deep in fights, he's struggled at times. Doesn't necessarily have the best cardio. Did look good on the scales yesterday. Still a work in progress at 27 years old. Miles Johns, though, has the power to put Dos Santos out. This is a very close fight. I don't like the line being this wide. I will be picking Miles Johns, but Anderson Dos Santos is a live fighter here. And don't let my shirt, the UFC Apex shirt, fool you. This fight does take place in Houston in the larger octagon. And when fighters fight in this larger octagon, you know, they can use it. They can be evasive. But Anderson Dos Santos is not a fighter who's going to look to be evasive. He's going to look to engage. Next up, fourth fight of the night, where we have Monocoup taking on Osborne. Interesting fight here, where we have Monocoup coming in as a sizable favorite. -195. The line has closed a little bit here. $9,000 on Monocoup. Monocoup came in from Ryzen with a head of steam on him. He has a pretty diverse skill set, has some grappling, but what you see from Monocoup for the most part is knockout power, low volume, and he is extremely strong. Taking on Osborne, who's dropping from 145 pounds down to flyweight, made the weight, okay? And what's funny is Monocoup comes in here and at 129 pounds, you know, he misses. Concerning that he misses, and the guy who's dropping from 145 pounds comes in at 125 pounds. So this fight, oh, here we go. Look at this. I've got Daniel in here. Morning, Daniel. He says, I've got Ode. He likes the size advantage. Now, yes, Ode's coming in with a significant reach advantage here. He also should have an edge in volume. The grappling edge is going to go to Monocoup. And the knockout power, I believe, is going to Cop. Also, the evasiveness is going to, the footwork itself is going to go to Osborne. One thing that scares me though is him coming down this much in weight. I have concerns that Ode's chin may come into play here. And the longer this fight goes, I haven't necessarily seen Ode Osborne, his game stick together late in fights. We know that Monocoup can pick up the pace, right? And especially at the end of rounds, he can get takedowns. He has the more devastating power. I'm going to be picking Monocoup in this fight, though I understand that there is some value potentially here on Osborne, who looked great on the scales, made the weight, saying all the right things. Cup fighting out of AKA, spent some time in Vegas. He blamed his weight miss on eating fruit. Okay. It looked like a lack of discipline to me. I got to be honest. You look at the scale too. He wasn't as cut up as he's been in the past. Osborne's had this fight on his radar for some time now. So I'll be picking Monocoup, but not with much confidence. Good morning, Manny. He's going to bet Munoz inside the distance. Johnny Munoz, that is. I like that play. Good luck, my brother. All right, let's continue to the next fight of the evening, where we have Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Jessica Penney, right? This fight takes place at 115 pounds. Jessica Penney coming in at 7,900 in DraftKings, plus 105 at the betting window. Kowalkiewicz has lost 4 fights in a row. She suffered an eye injury against Yan Xiaonan, and we thought it was the end of an era there for Kowalkiewicz, that her fighting career was over. That could be the same said for Jessica Penney, who also, the Lupita Godinez fight, we thought that was a loss for her, but the judges swayed that, right? Interesting fight to break down, though. Kowalkiewicz, she should have the volume here. I don't necessarily trust her takedown game and her grappling game. Granted, she was able to use it against Yan Xiaonan. Jessica Penney, though, 38 years of age. This is a pass fight from my perspective. 8,300 in DraftKings for Kowalkiewicz. What are you getting? She's looked like a deer caught in headlights in many of her recent fights. The Alexa Grasso fight, she's fought some rough competition. Both of these gals have. Man, this fight, I get agita just thinking about this one. Kowalkiewicz, though, very, very slight favorite. I do lean Kowalkiewicz. I think that her speed, her volume is going to be a difference maker here. Jessica Penney is going to look to try to wrap Kowalkiewicz up like a pretzel, and she better go for broke, because if she doesn't, she could get picked apart at distance. We've got a few other comments here. Watch Me Build says, haha, he ate 4 pounds of apples. Now, yes, Monocoup did blame the weight loss or the weight miss on eating fruit. That was interesting how he, that just goes to show you a lack of self-discipline costs him there. Daniel Edwards says Cape couldn't get the decision off of a chinny Nicolau. Okay. Yeah, he, in my eyes, he won that fight. But granted, yes, you are speaking to the fight IQ issues, the in-fight decision-making issues that have cost Monocoup throughout his career thus far, throughout his UFC career. All right, let's move on. Let's get up this card. We're going up to Ed Herman taking on Alonzo Menifield, right? Menifield coming in at 9,200 in DraftKings, minus 245 betting favorite, taking on an old warhorse in Ed Herman, who surprisingly is still with the promotion here at 40 years of age. He's been in this promotion for ages and he hasn't necessarily reinvented himself. He has the same skill set that he's had since the beginning. He's a grinder with a jiu-jitsu background and can hang standing. If you don't put him away, he could potentially come back and like as we saw in the Mike Rodriguez fight, that was something else, right? He's a dog, and that's one thing we love about Ed Herman. Now, Menifield coming in here with a 10-2 record. He's also 33 years of age, so he's getting up there. We know that he's a finished product, man. Fighting out of Fortis, could come in here and take Herman out of here. I think that is the likely outcome, that he hurts Herman. But if Menifield gets extended in this fight, and we know that the potential for him to gas is real. That's something that is a real concern, right? So Menifield early, Ed Herman late. It would not surprise me one bit to see Menifield hang in this fight. Super Babones, good morning, sir. Appreciate you tuning in today. Thank you, sir. Looking to put some winning lineups together here. Looking to win. Looking to cash, and also looking to cash those tickets, baby. So let's keep on rolling here. The pick's going to be Menifield, though not with much conviction. That fight is expected to end inside the distance at minus 270. Next up, let's keep on going here, folks. We head up to Draco Rodriguez taking on Vince Morales. This fight takes place at 135 pounds. Both of these fighters have taken L's recently. Draco Rodriguez, concerned about his chin in this spot. 8,400 minus 125 favorite. Line is moving slightly. Vince Morales minus 105, right? Got his legs kicked off against Gutierrez. 9-5 overall record for Vince Morales. Morales, he, I believe, is the cousin of Ricky Simone out of Team Oyama. Interesting spot here where we have both of these fighters have durability issues. You look at the fight doesn't go the distance prop at minus 130. I think that is something to take a look at. Draco Rodriguez came in with a lot of steam on him. Took that win over Mana Martinez in the Contender Series, 8,400 in DraftKings for Draco Rodriguez. Now, this fight could go either way. I see somebody getting finished here, and I think it's likely Draco Rodriguez who gets finished in this spot. I think that durability, we've seen Rodriguez sparked out of there via strikes, and he was caught by Zahabi, somebody who's not known for their power. And Morales has we know he has a stand-up game. He has some wrestling to fall back on. Tough as nails. But he's sometimes he's too tough for his own good. Granted, I don't think he's going to get his legs kicked off again here, but he had to have known against Gutierrez that those leg kicks were coming and didn't do a damn thing about it. So you're going to want a piece of this fight for DraftKings, considering the pricing. I'll be picking the underdog, Morales, though it would not surprise me to see Rodriguez come in here and finish Morales. Both of these guys have suspect in-fight decision-making and suspect, not necessarily a suspect chin for Morales, but suspect decision-making. Next up, where we head to the 8th fight of the day, and this is going to be an amazing fight, folks. We have Bobby Green taking on Rafael Fiziev. Rafael Fiziev, 9-1 mixed martial arts record, but we know he's a Muay Thai fighter who comes in with some of the highest level striking that you'll see. Incredible striker taking on Bobby Green, who's in his 40th professional mixed martial arts bout here. Bobby Green coming in at plus 245 at the betting window. Rafael Fiziev 9,300 and minus 320, right? So you got 6,900 for Bobby Green. Really interesting bout, lightweight bout. This fight's expected to go to a decision at minus 165. Okay, so this fight, where do we start? Fiziev, the kicks, the Bobby Green. I have questions for folks who are on the Bobby Green side. Some questions here. How is Bobby Green going to get his reads early in this fight? That's a tough thing to do. Rafael Fiziev is one of the toughest fighters to get a read on, especially early. He's had folks befuddled out there. And Bobby Green is one of those fighters who looks to keep his hands down as he marches in, sets up, strikes, and I see Bobby Green getting picked apart in this spot. Bobby Green's path to victory here is via grappling. He's going to have to grapple here in order to have success. The boxing, I think, could help him out, though. You watch the Alex White fight. Fiziev was playing with his food in that fight. I think that was a fight where Fiziev was gaining time inside of the octagon. The Mustafayev knockout, I believe that that was due to some variance here. He got caught in that spot. Fiziev, I don't see him getting caught here. I see him winning this fight, and I see him chopping Bobby Green down. So give me Rafael Fiziev to win, and it would not surprise me. I know that Bobby Green hasn't been finished recently, but it would not surprise me to see Rafael Fiziev finish Bobby Green. Next up, where we have Song Yadong taking on Casey Kenney. Now, we have before we get into that, we have a comment here from Watch Me Build. He said he's taking a small shot on Bobby Green just because he thinks he's always in the fight and that veteran experience could grind out a decision. Yep, if Bobby Green gets this fight extended, the third round could get hairy for Fiziev, as we've seen him run into a situation where he's emptied a majority of his clip on his opponent. Now, can Bobby Green take that? He's tough as nails. I think it's gonna wear on Bobby Green the longer this fight goes. So Song Yadong, let's get back to Song Yadong taking on Casey Kenney at 135 pounds. You watch fighters who have slipped all across the octagon. They've lost their footing. Casey Kenney is one of those guys. It's happened to him. It's happened to Monocoup. Be aware of that. Monocoup in previous interviews, especially the interview headed into this fight against his opponent, Ode Osborne, he's already said that he's asked the commission to wear his footwear. So let's see if he has wraps all over his feet when he heads in there. So Casey Kenney coming in here as a little bit of a favorite, minus 115. Both of these fighters actually coming in at minus 115 in this spot. Song Yadong, we know he's got the power. He has Team Alpha Male in his corner. He has the losses in his pocket, the draws in his pocket against Cody Stamann, right? That fight, I think, is a path to victory for Casey Kenney. We know that the grappling edge should go to Casey Kenney. I think Casey Kenney is going to have to grapple hard and heavy in this spot if he's to find success. He's relied on his striking in many of his recent bouts. This is no Alatang, okay? This is Song Yadong, who is a legitimate striker here, and he does have the bigger power. And I think that power is going to end up being a difference maker in the favor of Song Yadong here. I've picked Casey Kenny in many of his previous bouts. Casey Kenny, I hear a lot of talk about his cardio and how great it is. Though you watch the after his Alatong fight, he took the fight against Nathaniel Wood, and that was on relative short notice, and he had thrown so many kicks in that Alatong fight, right? So, but he ran out of gas. He was running out of gas down the stretch against Natty Wood, and this fight, I think the longer it goes, it could potentially help Casey Kenny. But if these guys are trading in the pocket, I'm going to lean with Song Yadong. I think that we're getting a little bit of value here. Don't mind folks taking the stab on Song Yadong in this spot. I understand the love for Casey Kenny. He's very well put together, has a very his skill set. He has the wrestling, he has jiu-jitsu, he has the scrambling ability, which is huge. Like Kyler Phillips fight, we saw him hang in there. This is Song Yadong versus Kyler Phillips. We saw down the stretch, he can get figured out, right? But getting back to Casey Kenny, he's got to grapple heavy in this spot. Song Yadong is live. The Alejandro Perez fight, we saw him take him out of there. I think that Song Yadong is live for a knockout here, and I'll be picking Song Yadong to win. Next up, where we have a rematch, Angela Hill taking on Tecia Torres. Fascinating matchup where we're in Texas. The judging could become a major issue as it has in the past. If you're getting dog odds on a fighter, I understand the take there. You probably have some value in that spot. Tecia Torres, 12-5 overall record. We saw her come out and burn a lot of folks, burn that over 1.5 rounds ticket against Sam Hughes. Coming in this fight at 8,700. It would be interesting to see how Tecia Torres pays off that DraftKings price tag. 8,700 minus 145 at the betting window. 31 years old for Tecia Torres. Now, Angela Hill, getting up there in age, has it feels like she only had 10 fights under her belt as a professional recently. Now she's 13-9, 7,500 plus 115 underdog. You know that Angela Hill is going to come out here looking to land volume, looking to make this fight dirty. Torres was able to land a couple of takedowns in their first fight. In this bout, though, you watch the tape. Not much has changed, man, over the years. These fighters are exactly who we thought they were, right? And I'm ever so slightly leaning Tecia Torres. I think her strength may come into play here. She's built like a brick shithouse, and she is evasive in the larger octagon. Though it would not surprise me to hear the judges give a split decision victory to Angela Hill in this spot. All right. We've got a couple of other comments in the chat here. Speaking of the last fight, tying Casey Kenny up early and often. Daniel comes in. He's also on Song. He doesn't understand the Kenny love. Okay. Yeah. What are we talking about? Kenny G? No. We're talking about Casey Kenny, right? And he's going to have to grapple heavy in this spot. Let's continue up this card. After the Tecia Torres, Angela Hill bout, we have Vicente Luque taking on Michael Chiesa, right? Fascinating bout where we have, a Vicente Luque whose chin has never been cracked in the UFC and his professional career. 8,500 minus 120 betting favorite, taking on Michael Chiesa, who has been undefeated since he moved up to welterweight. Michael Chiesa, 7,700 minus 110 Man, this fight is a very, very tough fight to call. You know that Michael Chiesa is going to have to commit to his grappling and not, he's going to be like a leech on Luque. Now it's up to Vicente Luque to get stuff done while he's at range, and he's going to have to work his ass off to get away and break free from Michael Chiesa. Can he do that? That is the question. I am very interested in the opening seconds of each of the rounds here, because that is going to be where Luque is going to have to work his magic, because Chiesa is going to overwhelm Luque with the grappling, and it's gonna take everything Luque's got to break free. And once he's free, though, he's a dangerous man. He has that killer instinct. I went into all the tape here, and even leaving the tape, I feel like Chiesa should be the pick, but I can't pick against Vicente Luque. I think that he has a knack. He has a knack for getting things done here. And let's see. We've got a comment in this. We've got a comment here. I've got a feeling that when Luque decisively beats Chiesa, will reflect on how fortunate his last 3 matchups have been. Yeah, granted, yes, he hasn't fought great strikers. RDA, though, you could say RDA, is a legitimate striker. The Magny fight, Diego Sanchez, etc. Just imagine for 1 second what Luque would do to Diego Sanchez. Okay, that fight wouldn't last a half a round. I'll be picking Vicente Luque in this spot. I understand why folks are on Chiesa. He definitely has a smothering top game that could come into play here, especially if it hits the scorecards. But if you're looking for a fighter who's going to win this fight inside the distance, it's, in my eyes, it's going to be Luque. So take a look at that. Also a inside the distance, and if it hits the scorecards, no action. That's something to look at as well. Next up, where we head to the co-main event of the evening, my friends, we've got Jose Aldo, the King of Rio, taking on Pedro Munoz. This, I feel like the Bobby Green Fiziev fight and the Ode Osborne Cap fight are the 3 people's main events of the evening. We have Munoz coming in with a 19-5 record, 7,600 in DraftKings, -115 at the betting window. And on the other side of the fight, you have Jose Aldo, who also is sitting at -115, 8,600. Fascinating bout where we have Aldo. We know he's got the hardware in his pocket to win this fight. He's got the reach. He's got the championship experience. He's got the quickness. He also has the if Munoz wants to play that leg kicking game, Jose Aldo has the ability. Granted, he hasn't used it that much in previous fights, but we know he has the ability to go tit for tat with Pedro Munoz for at least a few minutes, right? Somebody could potentially get their leg chopped off. But Munoz coming in at a 5-inch reach disadvantage has he eats 5.87 significant strikes per minute. That is almost off the charts here. A glorified punching bag at times. But what Munoz has going for him, he has 3 strengths, right? He has his chin and his durability. He has his leg kicking game, right? And he has his cardio. He seems to come on down the stretch, right? Aldo, I see him working Munoz over the first round or 2, and then Munoz could potentially be live. But at these odds, I think it's worth a shot on Jose Aldo. He was my free play of the card in this specific bout. Granted, the Jan fight, we saw the lack of durability there down the stretch, but watch that again, and Jose Aldo had success and was really hanging in that fight against the best bantamweight in the world. Munoz, the longer this fight goes, granted, could potentially come back and take over late, but Aldo, I think that quickness is going to be on display. Also, he's a heavy hitter, and Munoz is a tiny bantamweight, man, and he has relied on that chin every time out. Even Jimmy Rivera, we saw Jimmy Rivera get his leg chopped off, but he how can you not come into a fight against Pedro Munoz not ready to address those leg kicks? Jose Aldo, I believe, will be ready for those, and I know it's a very closely aligned fight, but I'll be picking Jose Aldo, right? So, main event of the evening, my friends. Let's do this. Where we have Derek Lewis taking on Ciryl Gane, right? 4-1 favorite. Ciryl Gane. Do I think he's worthy of that? Yes. I think that 80% of the time we see Ciryl Gane win this fight. We've seen him execute a well-disciplined game plan for 25 minutes multiple times. He's not a fighter who's going to come in there and make mistakes. It only takes one mistake, though. And against Derek Lewis, we've seen his game fall apart down the stretch. Granted, what does he bring to the table? He brings knockout power, right? Everybody watches it. Fan favorite. He's going to have to force a mistake, force some frustration out of Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane's been laughing at Derek Lewis in the lead up to this fight. Do I think there's the potential for Derek Lewis to catch Ciryl Gane? Yes, though not very likely. The odds, look at these odds. Minus 345 favorite for Ciryl Gane, plus 265 over at BitDSI for Derek Lewis. If anybody has any questions in the chat, feel free to shoot in there, and we can get into that. But in this spot, you've seen the later the fight goes with Derek Lewis, he can play possum at times, almost like a rope-a-dope in a way. He'll lean against the fence, act like he's hurt. We've seen it against JDS. If that bomb landed against JDS, it would have been lights out, right? JDS was ready for that. In the lead up to this fight, you look at Ciryl Gane. He's an extremely technical fighter who brought folks into his camp to emulate Derek Lewis's lazy, sloppy game, right? That's what he does, but he's been effective with it. He draws his opponent into making mistakes. And do I think it's possible that Derek Lewis could potentially score a knockout victory? Yes, though the much more likely outcome in this spot is Ciryl Gane winning this fight. And also, I think that Ciryl Gane is alive to get a finish here. I think that although we've seen him execute the game plan for 25 minutes, we haven't necessarily seen him face fighters who typically break down the stretch besides JDS, right? And even the Tanner Boser fight, you look back at that. Tanner Boser's a decent heavyweight, man. I'd like to see Tanner Boser versus Derek Lewis at some point, because you know that Tanner Boser can implement a game plan for 15 minutes and can stay at range. This fight takes place in the larger octagon. Give me Ciryl Gane here, and I expect this fight to end inside the distance. I just don't see how Lewis is going to be able to eat all of these strikes, especially, you know, that body can get worked over for Derek Lewis. So give me Ciryl Gane here. Give me him inside the distance. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. It's, I believe, 6 plays up over at MMA Oddsbreaker Premium. Third-party tracked for many, many years. Long-term winner, looking to continue Continue rising up, man. Every fight card, we bring it. Thank everybody. Let's go kick some ass out there, my friends. One fight at a time. Go get what's yours. Let's do this, right? It is game time. It is game time. Let's do it. This is what we were born to do, baby. Come on. Let's go. Pumped up. Big fights tonight. Let's go.